there. See what you're wearing. Alright, Calvin is wearing the Z-Loss 39 Horizons 39 diver on a NATO strap because that's how it can fit him. Do you like the watch, Calvin?
Yeah.
Why do you like it?
Because it can fit me and I love it.
Yeah, can you turn the bezel? Yeah. What's the bezel for?
For making it to where so you can take a break when your hands get wet.
Well, yeah, when you're diving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to go diving with that watch?
Yeah.
Do you think it would be a good one?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about this watch?
Good. That's a good watch you can wear when we go to the beach.
Do you like the colors?
Yeah.
How do you think the readability is, with the light colors? Can you read the watch?
It has white and black and green and red and orange.
Orange? Do you need orange?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
which one do you like better?
And it's green.
Yep.
And that's all.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to do a short review of a 38mm Islander dive watch. The official title is the Islander 38mm automatic dive watch with a mint green waffle dial and coral red accents. This is the ISL-126, but it's a watermelon watch. I mean, that's kind of what I think of it. There's only one other video on YouTube that did a review of this particular reference, and I picked it up for $200 on longislandwatch.com. It is still in stock for $245. I mean, the short version is, I think this is a great watch for what you're getting. Also, just a little bit of background. I filmed a review of this watch, I think it was yesterday, with my son, and it was pretty funny. I mean, 4-year-olds are funny, but I was using the built-in microphone, and the audio quality was admittedly not great. There was also a lot of other kids. I have 3 kids. The other 2 were being loud and a bit obnoxious in the background, so they were sort of corrupting the audio. So I have since purchased a lapel mic, which is still not the best quality, but it's still better than using the built-in mic of the phone. So I'm re-recording it. I might put in some old footage of when Calvin was being a 4-year-old, which is still somewhat entertaining. But I'm going to re-record the review for you guys so that you can not have to listen to poor audio. So thanks for bearing with me. Thank you for your comments in the State of the Collection video that pointed out some of the audio issues. And yeah, it's part of the reason why I like doing this. It's a fun little YouTube community. You get to connect with people that you've never met, who comment on your videos and tell you what's wrong, what's right, what they like, what they don't like, and get to share in this fun hobby that we call watch collecting. So anyway, I'll get the specs out of the way. This is a 38mm watch in diameter. It has a 44, let me double check. It's a 44.5mm lug tip to lug tip female end links that go straight down. And this watch is, how thick is it? It's pretty, what is it, 13? It is 13mm thick. Sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel insert, flat sapphire crystal. You have a waffle dial, which is pretty cool. Coral red accents, although the seconds hand and the little triangle here are a different color than the indices. That's a little odd to me. I wish they matched, but they don't. This is kind of pinkish, and the indices are a different color. I don't know what you call it. The date window is framed in yet another different color, which is a bit odd. On the dial, you have the Islander logo, which I think sucks. But, I mean, if that's your company logo, I don't blame you for putting your company logo on your watches. I mean, you probably should do that. But I just don't like it. It looks weird. And then it says Islander automatic 200 meters. So it is water resistant 200 meters. This is an XKX homage. It will take SKX parts, clasps, bezel inserts, all that stuff. But you don't have a crown at 430. I think it's 430, right here, which I think looks more tool-tastic. It looks more tactical, more like the original SKX. This, I think, looks more vintage. I think it looks better. A crown at a traditional 3 o'clock. It is a signed crown with the Islander logo. And then on the case back, you have the new, embossed, engraved Islander logo, which can be a sun or the light shining from the lighthouse. I don't know. It says Islander 200 meters sapphire, Islander 200 meters sapphire. So, pretty cool. You've got brushing on the top, polishing on the sides. Of course, I've already got it scuffed up and scratched up because polishing. You have drilled lugs, and it comes on this bracelet here, on a oyster style bracelet, milled clasp, solid links, solid end links, pressed clasp. Did I say milled scissor mechanism, which is nice. It's not pressed, but the clasp is pressed, and I've seen this exact mechanism on cheaper watches. It's definitely a downside. It's kind of jangly. 3 micro adjusts, polished sides. It does have screwed links, which I guess is nice. I mean, I've seen nice bracelets with pins. I don't think it's so much about the screwed in links or the screwed links. I think it's more about the overall fit and finish and quality of the bracelet. The bracelet's fine. It's already scratched up, as you can see. One thing to note, something that really gets my goat on more expensive, watches that literally cost 10 times the amount of this watch. The in-link won't fit in the watch. This one doesn't wiggle. The wiggle comes from here. But this is firmly in place. So this fits into the watch very well. It's not going anywhere. And I mention this, you may think it's a small detail, but I mention this because it means that the whole watch is a bit more solid feeling. There's still a little bit of jangle in the bracelet itself, mostly coming from this link here. But because these links don't move, it does give a little bit of a solidness to the overall watch, which is good. The bezel is a ceramic insert, like I said. These indices are loomed with, I was trying to find the name of the loom. It's green, I'll show you. It is C3. I haven't memorized all the names yet, but it's Super Luminova C3. It's very good. It's pretty good. It's not as good as Luma Bright. It's not as good. It doesn't last as long as my Christopher Ward Aquitaine, but it's pretty good. It charges quickly. The bezel is a bit stiff. It's a bit hard to turn. That is a downside, for sure. There's no way you would turn this if your fingers were wet. I tried. If you look at water and then try to turn this bezel, can't do it. Bezel lines up pretty good. It's a tiny bit misaligned, ever so slightly. You're either too much to the right or to the left, but you'll see. That's a little bit too much to the left. There's one more click, and then it's maybe just a tiny bit off, but it's almost not noticeable. I give it a pass at this price point. It's good enough. Coin edge bezel, pretty thick, pretty tall. Another possible downside is that there's a bit of a gap here. You can see I can put my fingernail in here. And that's just, it's kind of sharp like that. And I'm sure stuff can get stuck in there. So that's a bit annoying. The crown is a little bit it wobbles back and forth a tiny bit. This, it doesn't bother me. I don't, at this price point, I don't care. If this were a $1,000 watch, it would bother me, but it's fine. NH35 movement, so you have a date, you have about 40 hours power reserve. I have heard from other reviewers that have reviewed Islanders that this watch, that Mark, the owner of Long Island Watch, regulates these, or one of his people do, but it's running minus 4.5 seconds. I've made sure, I've tested it over a few days, and it's running negative 4.5, which makes it one of the most accurate. In fact, it makes it the most accurate watch that I have. And I have an STP13 movement. I have a couple of Solita S200s. I have an Orient movement. I have a 4R35 and a 4R15. And I have an ST1901. So I don't have any COSC certified movements or anything, but this is almost running within COSC certifications. And it's just an extra little bonus. It's kind of cool to have somebody regulate it for you so you don't have to pop the back open and do it yourself, although I'm sure you could if you wanted to. Other downsides. This watch, I don't really wear it on the bracelet. I put it on the bracelet to show you guys, but I usually put it on a seatbelt, NATO style strap, and I'll show you some pictures, some B-roll of it on those straps. The reason is that the link, I'm glad that it's on female end links, but the watch doesn't, it sits really low. There's too much of a drop right here. See how much of a drop there is from the first link to the second one? I wish the spring bar and the drilled holes were a little bit higher. It also creates another effect, and I'll show you when I put it on the wrist. When it's on the wrist, that it lays very flat on the wrist, but this doesn't actually help it. It's beneficial for a watch that's thick to have some of the girth to sit a little bit higher, to have if the spring bar were a little bit higher, then not all of the thickness of the watch would be sitting on top of my wrist. It would sort of be hidden in my wrist, if that makes sense, and it would look a little bit more slim. It looks like this watch just sort of sits on top, and it's got these tiny little lugs, and it just looks a little odd, a little cheap. Not because of the bracelet. The bracelet is okay. It's just because of this in-link situation. So I usually don't wear this watch on the bracelet. I usually wear it on a silicone strap or a NATO style strap, or even a leather strap is fine. Another thing to mention, the AR coating is fairly good. There's no purplish, bluish tint. It is a tiny bit you can see right there. But it's not as bad as, I was going to feel weird to compare this to this much more expensive watch that does, it has a purplish tint to it, but I mean, I think the AR is okay on both, but this one has more of a tint. It's hard to capture on camera, but you can see it there. That is annoying to look at. This doesn't have that. It's good. It's nice and clear. So that's good. I'll show you some wrist shots of this watch on some different wrists. I put it on my wife's wrist. She has a 5 1/4 inch wrist, And I think this brings up the audience for this watch. Who should be buying this watch? Well, I think it could be a ladies' watch. It's 44 millimeters lug tip to lug tip, means that this could be an outdoor watch or a dive watch for for a lady's wrist, or just a small wrist, right? Man or woman. It could work on a very small wrist. It could be a kid's watch. It's colorful, it's bright, it's fun. I think kids would love the color. It's a possibility. I think obviously because of the color scheme, it could work as a summer watch, as a pool watch, something like that. So I think it is an original design. I'll show you some recordings from the website. A lot of the waffle dials that Mark has been putting out, not all of them are selling super well. I think that's not because they're not successes. It's just because they're not neutral colorways. It's not going to work for everybody. Some of you aren't going to like this watch because you don't like this shade of green, and that's totally fine. But I think that what Mark is doing is he's trying to put out some original designs, and I think that is awesome. I like a lot of the original designs that he's been putting out. They look less like mod watches and more like a complete original product. And I think that this watch is cheap in certain places. The clasp, the movement, the thickness, some of the fit issues like this link feel a little cheap, but the materials are premium. Much of the specs are premium. The bezel action, let me see if I'll let you hear it. It feels good. I mean, it's stiff, but it feels solid, and it's precise. It lines up. And so that's good. So I love this watch. And I'll put a link in the description if you want to pick it up. I think if you order tonight, you can get it by Christmas. If you order later, then you might get it after Christmas, but still might be a good Christmas gift. All right. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.